Imagine living in 1883, when your biggest worry was surviving outlaws, until the sky decided to declare war. The secret war has roots that stretch back to the dawn of life. Millions of years before the first cowboy, the seed was planted, a celestial hitchhiker waiting for the right moment to sprout and reclaim the planet. What would you do if a gigantic spaceship appeared right above your head? The secret war didn't begin in 1883. It began in the gold fields of 1849, when the first source was accidentally unearthed. They thought they had found a fortune. They didn't know they had found a homing beacon. The first fragment wasn't found by miners, it was found by a shaman who had dreamt of its arrival. He saw the star fire in his visions and tried to warn the world, but his words were lost to the greed of the gold rush. The secret war didn't begin in 1883. It began thousands of years ago when the first source was planted in the earth. The desert was never just sand. It was a dormant engine waiting for a signal from the stars. A war between cowboys and aliens, the secret war that changed the Wild West forever. The indigenous tribes of Arizona had known of the Star People for generations. Their stories were carved into the very stone of the canyons, warnings of a celestial harvest that was long overdue. Arizona, Sheriff Jack Carter, 45 years old, former bounty hunter, known for never missing a shot. While patrolling alone, he notices something strange. Absolute silence. No coyotes, no birds, no insects. Even the wind has stopped. The terraforming was silent and absolute. Arizona's crops weren't just dying, they were being converted into an alien biology. The earth itself was being prepared for a harvest that didn't belong to man. His horse starts getting restless. He looks ahead. At the top of a hill, there is a glowing sphere. It looks like it's made of liquid metal. No wheels, no smoke, no wings. Jack slowly dismounts. He places his hand on his revolver. The sphere pulses. A blue light ripples across its entire surface. Then, she simply vanishes. No explosion. No trace left behind. Jack thinks he's lost his mind, but that was just the beginning. The West was about to change forever. A war between cowboys and aliens. A war that history tried to forget. They captured one, a scout. It didn't speak in words, but in frequencies. Elijah translated the clicks. They weren't just here for the source. They were here because we had begun to accidentally activate it. 2 days later, Jack receives a message. A small mining town simply disappeared. It wasn't attacked, it didn't burn, it wasn't looted, it vanished. The path to the spire led through the Canyon of Echoes, a place where the laws of physics were beginning to unravel. Graves warned Jack that the closer they got to the source, the more the desert would try to swallow them. When they arrive at the site, there is no one there. No bodies, no horses, no dogs, just empty buildings. Then, one of the men finds strange marks, footprints. But they weren't human. They had only 3 toes. Each footprint glowed faintly, as if still hot. Jack kneels down. He touches one of them. A wave surges up his arm. For a few seconds, he sees images that don't belong to Earth. That same night, a stranger appears. His name was Elijah Graves. He wore black. He carried no badge, nor an ordinary shotgun. On his back there was a weapon made of an unknown metal. Jack asks, "Who are you?" The man replies, "I hunt things. That came from the stars." Elijah wasn't always a hunter. He was once a man of the earth until a cold winter night in the Sierras changed him. He saw what happens when the stars descend. The invaders functioned as a single mind. If you struck one, the whole fleet felt it. This was their strength, but Graves knew it was also their greatest weakness. A single viral energy surge could topple the entire hierarchy. Graves showed them the power they were dealing with. A single shard of star metal could unmake matter itself. If they were going to win, they had to learn not just how to fire it, but how to survive its proximity. Elijah revealed that this wasn't the first time they had come. Every few centuries, the stars descended to harvest what was theirs. The source had been guarded by a secret line of hunters. Graves had been preparing for this his entire life. He had scavenged the remains of previous arrivals, fusing the technology of the stars with the steel of the frontier. He had a weapon for every type of invader. Jack laughs, but Elijah doesn't. He opens a small case. Inside were impossible objects, metal fragments, glowing crystals, machine parts that seemed alive, and a small sphere. It begins to spin on its own. Then, it projects a map of the sky. Jack realizes that several lights are heading toward Earth. Graves knew they needed an edge. He taught the town's blacksmith how to work the star metal, fusing the technology of the invaders with the reliable steel of the West. They were building a hybrid arsenal. He taught them where to aim. The creatures were fast, but they were arrogant. They relied on their shields, not realizing that a piece of lead moving at the right velocity could bypass the frequency of their light. Elijah then says they didn't come to explore, they came to conquer. The West was no longer just land to be settled, it was a target. The warning Elijah brought was clear. The spire in Arizona